Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of the Sick Podcast, Recruits Draftcast. It's time, Grant. It's time. Hockey is upon us. It's here. It's there. Rookie camps have opened. Okay, rookie tournaments are starting. Informal skates are happening all over the NHL. We have hockey, and so we got plenty to talk about. We're obviously going to talk about this rookie tournament happening this weekend at the Bell Center. Habs rookies against Toronto Maple Leafs rookies. We're going to talk about Ivan Demidov, who is making the news. People are talking about him, but not exactly for the right reasons. We're going to get into that. There's been a first in CHL NCAA history, we'll say. I'm not going to spoil it just yet, but this is an interesting development in junior hockey. And as always, we're going to get to our prospect of the week later on in the show. But without further ado, let's get started.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Recruits Draftcast.
With our first pick in the 2022 NHL Draft, les Canadiens de Montréal sont fiers de repêcher from the Slovakian national team and TPS Turku, Juraj Slafkovsky.
The sickest NHL draft and scouting podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Producer Shane here, and joining me as always, my favorite co-host, Grant McCagg. How you doing today?
That intro is pretty short compared to Tony's, eh? You ever
Yeah,
you ever
6 minutes
you ever
long,
rap?
yeah.
You ever rap rapper Shane or anything like that?
I would never attempt. I would
No?
never attempt. I don't want to put people through that. You know what I mean? I have
Yo.
compassion. I have
Yo,
compassion.
yo.
No, can't do it. Can't
So
do it.
you're not going to do a rap intro for us for the show? Or anything like that?
Fortunately not. No, I think we're going to stick with what we have. It's working. People like it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I think we'll stick with it. I like hearing Kent, announce that pick. So maybe it'll be Céline Dion announcing Ivan Demidov one day. We'll talk to the production team
Okay.
about that. But for now, we're sticking with that.
No theme song.
I think we'll pass. I've seen some of the comments. I think we'll stick with what we got for now. But hey, Tony's formula works. You know what I mean? We're not gonna.
No.
Hey,
Well, maybe I'll write one. I'm a writer, so I'll write I've been wrote a few songs, so maybe I'll write one up for the boys and Sammy and Yellow and see what they think.
Listen, if you rap, I think we're gonna break the internet, Grant. I think you have to do it now. You've committed. It's too late.
Yeah, I don't have much experience in rapping, I gotta say.
Well,
I can't even rap a Christmas gift, let alone a song.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good
Thank
one.
you.
I respect it. All right. Back to the good stuff now. We're going to talk about hockey because there's so much happening right now. It's awesome. You love it. The first thing we're going to mention, though, in regards to the Montreal Canadiens, this week they announced a bunch of personnel changes or hires or promotions within hockey operations. One of which being Roger Grillo, who was hired as an coaching consultant to Marty St. Louis' staff. I don't personally know much about Mr. Grillo, but I think you know a bit more. So maybe you can enlighten the fans listening in as to what he could bring to the team.
Well, I know a little bit more because I Googled it a couple more times, but that's it. I talked to a few scouting friends of mine, and have you ever had dealings with Roger Grillo? And the most of them said, "Who? Why? What are you asking me this for?" They didn't know. But I had a look at his resume, and it's pretty impressive that he was. Between the University of Vermont and Brown University, he about 20 years of coaching experience. And no coincidence that there's yet another. There always seems to be a connection of some sort. Mm-hmm. Whether it's draft picks or players acquired or staff hired, there's some kind of connection, and there's an obvious one with him. He was an assistant coach with the University of Vermont when Marty was there. So Marty would have got, I'm assuming he recommended him and said, I'd like to have this guy's ear. I'd like to get some, him helping me with certain things, because Marty still only got 3 years of pro coaching experience, and every veteran, experienced person that can help out, I think is a bonus. And I guess this means they're not really going to replace Alex Burrows, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the closest. And I'm still, they haven't announced yet. I guess we don't know who is going to coach the power play. Is it the longer it goes on here, you wonder if Marty's going to be doing it. I guess he'll certainly have a hand in it at the very least.
Yeah.
Typically now in today's NHL, and I find it a funny thing, and it's the same with NFL and the like, is where the head coach doesn't call plays, doesn't coach power play, well, what do you got a head coach for if he never he has nothing to do with the power play? It's the end of the game and they got to score a goal, and you drop the play. Well, why can't the head coach do that? Isn't he supposed to be the smartest of the bunch? Isn't he the one that's the guru? Always like, let this other guy do it, And it's like NFL especially, they have offensive and defensive coordinators, so the coach just stands there on the sidelines, and the guy with the headset up in the booth makes all the decisions. It's a funny part of the evolution of coaching that I found a little strange, that, oh no, the coach couldn't help with the power play. He couldn't coach the power play. He's the head coach. He's got to stand behind the bench and look regal or whatever, I hope, since the Canadiens keep doing things a little bit differently, a little bit outside the box, that Marty does end up being the power play. Why not?
That's a guy that I would trust. Running my power play. Like, he's had
more power play goals. I like Trevor Letowski and all that stuff, but you look at the power play stats for Trevor Letowski and Alex Burrows and Stefan Robida. You can put them all together and multiply them by 6, and they still, don't have half the power play points that Marty got in his career. So makes sense that the guy that was really good on the power play is the guy that kind of runs it. So I'm hoping that that's what it ends up being, that they keep doing things a little differently than what becomes the norm in the NHL. Just like hiring an agent, Quebec way back in the day thought outside the box and hired Pierre Lacroix. The first, and people thought, oh, gee, agent, GM, you got to hire guys that have been GMs. Well, how did Pierre Lacroix do with Colorado? Stealing Patty Waugh, Patrick Leroy. Sorry, I got to do the Shane pronunciation there. All that, right? Winning multiple cups, all the connections. So when Kent Hughes got hired, same thing. They're thinking, well, gee, this guy has no GM experience, and the coach has no GM experience or coaching experience, but they had lots of experience and connections. It's all about connections. And the Canadiens, once again, hired a guy that's connected to Marty. He's comfortable. Marty's comfortable with him. Marty wanted him. So instead of getting an assistant coach from the NHL or a guy that's been in the AHL, we'll get this guy that's been the coach, University hockey for 20 years, has been in player development with USA Hockey the last few years, but has that connection to Marty. Marty knows him. Marty obviously thinks he was a great coach and a mentor. So bring him in as a consultant. I think, again, how can you criticize it? You don't know the guy. Marty knows the guy. Kent probably knows him. Jeff probably knows him. Jeff Gordon. So yeah, bring him in. And I like that they keep thinking outside the box and doing things a little differently, because there's no steadfast way to put together a management and coaching team, I don't think.
That's right. I mean, as for the power play, like, you have a Hall of Famer behind your bench who, like you said, scored a bunch. I'm sure if he gets entrusted with that responsibility, he'll do well. Maybe it could even be a group effort, right? All three coaches contribute to the power play and take care of it. Who knows, right? But at the end of the day, it's the score at the end of the game that matters, right? Are you able to win games? And I think they're gearing up towards that, right? Again, I don't know Roger Grillo that much, but from the sounds of it, he seems to be a competent coach, right? And he could definitely help guide Marty and his staff whenever they have questions or they encounter strange situations, perhaps. I don't know, right? That is all on the management who decided to hire him. They trust that he can bring some value to this team, and I think he will. So far, every hire they've done has been fantastic, so I fully trust it. But again, we're not going to talk about it too much. We're going to get into the prospect part of the show, because that's what we're all about. We talk about the future of our sport, and we're going to get a glimpse of it this weekend. We have already seen clips of the rookie camp going on in Brossard at the CN Sports Complex, no longer the Bell Sports Complex. But tomorrow and Sunday are the two games against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we have an idea of what the lineup could look like. So let's take a look at this here. And for the people who are listening, aren't watching us, I think you should watch us. But anyways, we appreciate you tuning in anyways. I will read the lines so that no one is confused. So first line is Sean Farrell, Owen Beck, and Emil Heineman. Second line, you got Jared Davidson, Riley Kidney, and Philip Meshar. Third line, and we're going to talk about this one because, wow, Luke Tuck, Florian Jacki, and Tyler Thorpe. All right. Fourth line, you got Mianskum, Larose, and Savoie. And your extra forwards are Niehoff and Pellerin. Now the defense, what most people were excited about, and rightfully so when you look at those first two pairings, Hudson and Mayu, Engstrom, Reinbacher, Protz and Matu, and then Emmanuelson Charbonneau is your extra defenseman. In net, now this is interesting, Quentin Miller actually suffered an injury, but he's day-to-day. He has not been ruled out yet. But as it stands, Samuel Richard will get the start. And then your other goaltender will be Drobek, who I'm not too familiar with. But anyways, he should be the backup. So this is the lineup, Grant. Where do you want to start with this?
Yeah. Well, Easton Cowan and the boys there, welcome to, the rookie tournament. You're going to see how many times they can dangle that top four defense pair. Those two defense pairings in the top four.
Good luck.
Engstrom, Reinbacher, especially. Wow. They're going to be tough to beat in a rookie tournament. And then Hudson Mayu is your first pairing. They should have some fun out there. That's what stands out to me is just for a rookie tournament to have those four guys. It's going to, as I said, I think last show, they don't expect them to give up 7 or 8, even if Drobak's in nets. Actually, it's interesting. And again, going back with connections, Drobak, teammate of Florian and Protzi. So,
yep.
He'd have got, obviously they looked, the pro scouts were at a lot of games and the amateur scouts were at a lot of games of Hamilton and Brantford, last year. And they would have seen Drobak quite a bit. So invite him to the camp. But I'm anxious to see Richard because those stats at University of New Brunswick,
Wow.
not losing a game is always impressive. So I'm interested in seeing him in net, and I'm kind of glad that he's playing.
Mhm.
I don't know if he'll get a pile of shots, perhaps not.
Yeah,
But
that's it.
Farrell, Beck, Heineman. It's time for those guys to show. Farrell and Beck and Heineman, especially Heineman. I think he's
Mhm.
got to win a spot this year at a training camp, or he'll be waiver eligible, I do believe, and I don't know that he wouldn't get snapped up by another team if he did get sent down to the AHL.
I would
So
think
he
so.
needs to step up. I want to
Mhm.
see him dominant at this tournament. Farrell, Beck, Heineman should be a good line.
Yeah.
I like the Davidson, Kidney, Machard. There's a lot of high skill and IQ in that trio.
Mhm.
They could have some fun out there too. But as you say, that third line, wow,
Wow.
that's big. The Bruise Brothers, I guess you could
Mm.
call them, right?
Holy.
That's a lot of beef. The small guy of the three is Tucker, I guess, at 6'2",
crazy.
about 210 or whatever. So
That's crazy.
yeah, they'll I imagine they'll be hard on the cycle and lots of forechecking and that's one of the more impressive, if not the most impressive lineup I've seen from a Habs team at a rookie tournament. I guess it's not really a tournament, rookie showcase or whatever they're calling it, the 2
Mhm.
game set. So I'll be disappointed if they don't win with that lineup,
There's
and
no
especially
excuse. Yeah.
if Danford's out, right?
Right. He got injured. Yeah.
Yeah, looks like he may not be playing, and I mean, they only had like 3 or 4 notable prospects,
Yeah.
playing like fairly high picks, the Leafs. And if one of them's out, I don't know. I like Montreal's chances, but rookie games, I've seen it before. When you look at rosters, it doesn't matter. One team can look like it's stacked and the other team isn't. And you see red and white scrimmages and all that, where you look at one team and you think, oh, they're going to get bombed, and the opposite happens. So never say never, but certainly on paper, that's a strong looking lineup.
Absolutely. And before we move on to something else, I want to go back to the defense a little bit here and look at the first 2 pairings. Hudson and Mayu, I won't say is a head scratcher, but I thought it was going to be Hudson Reinbacher, because I feel like those 2 players maybe complement each other better. Their play styles is a bit different, whereas Hudson and Mayu are both offensively minded defensemen, right? I don't know that. Obviously, it's going to be a lot of fun watching them play together. But did you think maybe we'd see Hudson Reinbacher together and maybe Engstrom and Mayu?
Well, I mean, after last year's development camp, right? They
Yeah,
stuck them together like glue.
They look good together.
Frickin'
Yeah,
frack.
exactly.
So, I mean, in that regard, yeah, I get what you're saying, because when people have projected, and I've said it in the past, like a few years down the road, that might be they seem to complement each other, and that they may be a pairing
Mhm.
on the Habs down the road, but they're probably not going to be a pairing this year. So why do you have to? You don't necessarily have to. I think they did it this way. The thinking probably was, look, Hudson and Mayu are the guys, like they did it by pecking order, right?
Right.
Hudson and Mayu are the closest to playing on the
Mhm.
big squad. So put them together as the first unit. Mayu deserves. He was at the AHL All-Star game last
Oh, yeah.
year. None of
Oh,
these
yeah.
other guys were. He deserves to be on the first. He's older. than Reinbacher. He's got the year under his belt in the AHL. He got the NHL game in there. So it's simply a matter of them saying, look, we'll pair these guys together, and it'll be a good experience for Mailloux because they want him to keep working on his defense, right?
Right.
Sticking with the guy that's going to be up ice maybe half the time, and get him thinking, okay, I've got to protect my net. I've got to protect my own end. I got to protect Hudson. So get him in that defensive mindset, because we know Mailloux's got very good offensive instincts.
Yes.
That's not the part of his game that needs the most development. It's the defense. So stick him with the high octane guy and have him get that mentality where, okay, I got to think defense first and then offense, right? So I can see the reasoning behind it, but I also, because we saw it at development camp last year, Hudson Reinbacher together, you think, oh, they're gonna be, they'll be inseparable through this rookie camp as well. But there are good reasons why they would put it that way, and also I guess Reinbacher, he's the youngin in the group.
Yeah.
And you put him with the Engstrom, who's like he'll be a mentor for him, right? Because in a lot of ways they're sort of similar type defensemen. You put him with the most the one with the most experience, the most pro experience, and protect him in that sense too. So yeah, I don't mind how they did it, and I'm glad Motu got the invite back, because we were both impressed with him at the development camp.
Absolutely.
And I think he deserved another look. From what Bob tells me, Bob McKenzie, he played at Kitchener, and Bob's son, as you know, is the GM there, Mike. So he's heading off to university, but hey, give him another good look and head off to university, and who knows? Canadian university's good hockey. I know you got something that you want to talk about there now too, regarding American university hockey. But there's been some guys come out of Canadian university hockey through the years that after a year or two playing in really good hockey, they end up playing in the NHL, including guys like Steve Ruchin. So Logan Thompson, as somebody pointed out after our last show. So it's all good. I don't know that much about Charbonneau, but he'll be the extra guy. But those top six defense, like that group of six, and especially the top four, is very impressive.
Wow. And then obviously on the third pairing, we got our good friend Owen Protz. If you haven't watched the show yet, we had him on for an interview earlier a few months ago or last month, but he was fantastic. Great kid, and I think people love that one. So I'm very excited to see him play.
I think
with the
I think we'll see him walk the line a couple of times in this rookie tournament.
He's gonna throw that hit, baby. I cannot wait. And I will be in attendance for both games. I was only supposed to go to the Sunday game. I will be there Saturday and Sunday. Grant, things have changed for you. However, you will stay in Ottawa and watch from home. But that means that we're going to have two different perspectives about the game. So tune in Sunday. Okay. We're going to record a show recapping, the both games. We're going to give our Habs prospect of the week on Sunday, not today. So I think it'll be nice having two different perspectives, right? Me haven't seen it live, and for you seeing it from a bigger perspective, right? With commentary, with replays. I think we'll benefit greatly from that. And Grant, you know what else you could benefit from? I'm going to tell you something. You know what else you could benefit from? You could benefit from a 10% discount on Manta Sleep if you use code SICKDRAFT. Now, Manta sleeping masks are the best sleeping masks on the market, bar none. Okay, complete blackout, absolute comfort. That's what you need if you have trouble sleeping. If you got light in your eyes, right? You don't have, the sunlight's directly hitting you in the face in the morning. Manta Sleep is for you. Code is SICKDRAFT, 10% off. All right, let's keep moving here, and we're gonna stick with the Habs briefly because Ivan Demidov has started his season in the KHL, and it's been highly scrutinized, right? A lot of Habs fans and I guess hockey fans in general are watching and tuning in because why wouldn't you? I mean, it's Ivan Demidov. So he's been playing with SKA in the KHL, and the concern heading into the season was that, is he going to get the ice time? Is he going to get the power play? Who are his line mates going to be? And unfortunately, our fears have come true. So far, again, it's been 4 games, right? It's too early to panic, but it's been 4 games, right? And he's played, like, first game, he played 14 minutes, decent. Second game, 13:36, coming down. Third game, 10:02, coming down again. And then fourth game, back up to 13:41, but you'll explain why a bit later on. But I mean, he's played with Kuznetsov, who's been awful. Let's be real here. He's not been good. No power play time. I mean, he's been playing on the fourth, third line. Like, when is it time to have question marks? Maybe I won't say panic. I'm not going to say panic just yet, but maybe be a little concerned. How about that?
I was concerned after the third game, and I did a Grant's rant there that I posted on
Sick Podcast News,
SickPodcast.com. Go there and read all my Habs and draft articles that I've been starting to post, and the U25 depth charts that you might get to a little later, I hope. And and again, in the first period of yesterday's game, which I watched the entire thing, he had 4 shifts in the first period yesterday. But my fear, given Rotenberg's past history with young high draft picks like Kuznetsov, Michkov, Chibrakov, all 3 of those guys, they did not put it this way, they didn't get as much ice time as maybe the NHL teams that drafted and hoped they'd get. And by this point last year, Michkov was already sitting in the stands. Yeah. Like he was benched, like not benched, he was sat in the stands. So I thought after the 10 minutes last game and playing like 2 shifts in the third period last game, even though they were down, they hadn't scored a goal, needed a goal, and they've got what's going to be a great goal scorer there. I thought, okay, if he's in the stands for this game, then he might be ending up, getting pushed out, maybe loaned to another KHL team or sent to the VHL. I don't think they'd send him back to junior again because he was just he's way too good for that.
Too good.
But he came out of the gate yesterday and he worked his tail off right from the opening shift that he got, right to every shift. He got the message. He didn't mope. He's a character kid, and instead of moping about being on the fourth line, he took it the right way and said, okay, I'll work harder. I'll gain the coach's trust, and he'll need to play me. And by the third period, he had 9 shifts in the first 2 periods. He played 12 shifts in the third period. So they changed up the lines. He was no longer with fourth line guys. At the end of the game, when they were trying to get a goal to get back in it, with the goalie pulled, he was out like just about the entire time. So coach liked what he liked how we responded, rewarded him, and I think wouldn't be surprised if he's in the top 6 for the next game. Ska's been shut out the last 2 games, not getting any goals. He's gonna he produced more chances than any other player last game.
Yeah.
So the coach, wants to win, and Demidov's going to help him win. So I'd be surprised if he's on the 4th line next game. And I think there's a better chance he's in the top 6. I hope it's not with Kuznetsov, because right now he's I don't know if he came a little out of shape or what the deal is. I was surprised when they handed him the captain to start the season.
Yeah.
Especially a guy with, I don't know, the video that surfaced a few years ago there of him having a snow party there or whatever. It just, it wouldn't be first person that comes to mind to think, well, let's give him the captaincy. He's never played there, and he's just going to walk in, and the new guy on the block with his reputation and had him to see. But I did notice that Nikishin was back in the lineup, the defenseman that I couldn't think of his name last episode, but that was a high scoring defenseman in the K last year.
Prospect for the Hurricanes.
He's got the C now. So it was
rightfully so. Yeah.
Whether I don't know what the deal is, whether they took it from Kuznetsov, said, no, you play bad. He's a captain now. But I think I guess what happened was that they named Nikishin the captain, but he wasn't ready to play. But until he got back, they put it on Kuznetsov. But he shouldn't be the captain. He's got to get his butt in gear. He looks a little slow. He's probably a little out of shape.
Yeah.
And he might have thought, oh, this will be a breeze. Come from being a big time NHLer to the KHL, and it'll be a cakewalk. But he's found it tough so far, and he wasn't finding chemistry with Demidov. And they're sort of different players. They both like passing the puck. They both like controlling the puck, and it wasn't really clicking. And Demidov likes to work and forecheck and work hard, and Kuznetsov likes to coast. So I don't think that the chemistry wasn't there anyways to start. And I hope I'd like to see Demidov with Gritsuk.
Those two, he's been good. He's been good.
He's been really good. And get those guys on each wing, and whoever they want to stick in the middle, it's fine with me as long as it's not Kuznetsov, and give those guys lots of ice. And I think you'll find that they'll start filling the net.
Right. Look, at the end of the day, right, Rotenberg is the head coach of the KHL team. Like, he's no slouch. Okay, he got this position for a reason. I think it's too early to start calling him names. I've seen some stuff on Twitter. Guys, relax. Ooh-sa, okay? Take a breath. People are jumping at him and calling him all sorts of stuff. Like he's a dictator. Okay, take a step back here. I think this is just, again, this odd KHL mentality that experience trumps talent, right? Where, oh, this guy's been in the league for 6 years. Oh, and this guy's a rookie and he's going to the NHL next year. Don't care about him, even though he's the best player on the team, right? So I think it's just this weird mentality that he needs to, I guess, overcome. But I'm sure he realized last game, we saw in the third period, 12 shifts. He knows that this kid is going to help him win games. And at the end of the day, that's what matters, right? It's not about pleasing your older players. It's about winning games. And if you need to play that rookie who's going to leave you next year on the first line or on the second line, first power play, then you do it. So
yeah,
I'm not crying yet. I'm not freaking out, but I think it was worth, exploring, right?
And I was critical of Rotenberg in my article the other day, But that's because he's got a past with young players where he doesn't give them a chance.
Yeah.
And it's a fair criticism of him. But
Mhm.
in his defense, Demidov was not that great in the third game. He was tentative. He was kind of looked a bit like Slav in some of his early games, where a little bit too much standing around thinking and not enough doing. And that
Yeah.
we saw all last year that's not Demidov, where his motor as a rule is go, 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 create with his intensity, with his work ethic. And we saw that right from and I think maybe it was a little bit of a poke and say, come on,
Mhm.
kid, we're going to put you on the fourth line. You weren't very good last game. We're going to bench you at the end because you weren't very good. So it's a message. And Demidov took it the right way. And it showed his
Exactly.
character again, where he didn't mope. What he did was, okay, I'm going to prove to the coach that I should be out there. Third period, 12 shifts. So it all bodes well. I think, you're unlike Michkov. He's not going to sit in the stands for a few. I don't think he probably won't get benched all year.
No.
Like sit healthy scratch. Don't see it happening because he's a team player. He's a character guy. He's going to work hard. And the other thing too, I think maybe he got rocked in game 2 pretty hard.
Yeah.
And there were a
saw that.
couple of times where he sort of was a little tentative along the boards in game 3, lost the puck, and he didn't play much after that. And that, again, was one of the reasons why we'll pull in the reins a bit on him here. We'll start him off on the fourth line. We'll tell him, you've got to not be tentative. And we did not. He took hits. He battled hard. There was no tentativeness to his game yesterday. He worked hard and he gave it every shift. So I think it was a learning lesson for him. He's still he's 18 years old. There's still things to learn. He doesn't have it all figured out. Yeah, he's going to be a great player, but that doesn't mean there still aren't learning lessons, even at the KHL level, right? Let's not forget It's one of the best leagues in the world. So at 18, get benched for a half a game now and then, it's not a big deal. I think people have overreacted to it a bit.
Exactly. But I like that you mentioned the main takeaway for me is that as how he responded, right? A lot of players, a lot of stars, players who have always played on the first line, as soon as they see some adversity, they crumble. And this guy thrived. So that is a huge green flag, call it whatever you want. That's great. That is a great sign. So I love that. And listen, we're going to keep covering Demidov the whole season. If you watching want to know more about Demidov as the days keep rolling, right? His next game, I believe, is this Sunday, the 15th. You can follow Grant on Twitter because he watches every game and he'll tweet some clips. He'll tweet his thoughts. Follow Grant on Twitter if you haven't already. Do yourself a favor. And do yourself a favor by checking out InstaCustoms.com. Okay? They're located just minutes away from the Bell Center on Rue Stanley. They're the highest rated apparel print shop in Canada at 4.9 Google stars. Okay? They specialize in direct-to-garment printing and embroidery. So Insta Customs, go check out our boy Nick over there. He is the best. He's the man. We love them. InstaCustoms.com. All right. Quick thing here. We're not going to stay on this for too long, but I thought it was worth mentioning. This week, we got news from a player in the WHL playing for the Regina Pats. His name is Braxton Whitehead. Now, he's 20 years old. He's played, I believe, 4 seasons for the Pats now. And he is the first player from the CHL to verbally commit to play in the NCAA. Now, he committed to play for Arizona State. That doesn't mean he's going to play, though, okay? There's still this whole legal situation involved around it. It's so confusing. But point is, there are steps being taken to, I guess, bridge those two leagues, right? If there are CHL players that want to cross over to the NCAA or vice versa, maybe hopefully someday it can be a possibility, and maybe Braxton Whitehead could be the I guess the pioneer, if you will. What do you think about this?
Yeah. I don't know a lot about the legal ramifications and all that. I think I don't know. I think you should be able to play. Like, why can you play BCHL or AJHL or CHL, but and then go to university, but not OHA or WHL or the Q and go? I don't see why. I agree. I'm glad that this is finally happening, because I think it'll only strengthen all the leagues really down the road. It might maybe hurt tier 2 junior a little bit, but I just I mean, especially like there's kids that I don't know, they went the OHL route, let's say, and they weren't quite good enough. They went to camp, they played a couple games, they ended up sitting, getting sent back down to the OJHL, let's say, but they're ineligible they can't get a scholarship and go to American University. I don't like, that's just not right.
I agree.
So make it so that everybody's eligible. And, at the end of your OHL career, if you're not good enough to play pro hockey yet, or you're not good enough, period, and you don't want to, you're offered a full scholarship to an American university where you can still improve your game and maybe even get signed as a free agent down the road. As the NHL always does every year, they sign kids that weren't drafted that develop in American college. Then great. I don't see. I'm of the opinion that there shouldn't be any restrictions.
Yeah.
And if they want to finish their CHL careers and then go to university when there's not a pro opportunity, I don't see why there would be an issue, or not even finish their OHL careers, play a year or whatever, and then go to university, or however their path is, whatever their path is. I think that I think this is a good thing. I hope that I presume that they're going to say no, you can't, and then there'll be lawsuits and all that stuff, and that they win, and that it changes things and opens the door for it. The NCAA changing their rulings.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep tabs on the situation, but I think it was worth mentioning. Now, before we get to our prospect of the week, we of course have to give a big thank you to another sponsor of the show, that being Cheapest T-shirts, the cheapest rock bottom apparel wholesale prices in all of Canada. Okay, 36 different clothing brands and over 600 different products. They ship today. You order today, they ship today, and you get it tomorrow. Okay, so why are you paying more for nothing? Go on over to visit CheapestTshirts.ca to check them out. Highly recommend it. All right, Grant, it's time. The prospect of the week this week is Luka Radivojevic. Now, you wanted to touch on something before we roll the clip, so I'll let you take the floor here.
I don't know that he's a prospect of the week, because I'm sort of what I'm trying to do is fan the flames a bit here on him, kind of temper so it's more like a sixth spotlight. The sixth spotlight, we'll call it.
Sixth spotlight. I like
it. On Luka Radivojevic. He's playing for Rebro this year. Now, consolidated ranking has him 17th overall at this point. I think there's one that has him 12th ranked. So I went and had a look at him in recent junior action, both with Örebro and Slovakia. He's listed at 5'9.5", 165. So for him to be a prospect considered for the mid-teens, I mean, he'd have to be super dynamic, right?
Right.
Now, I'm reminded somewhat of a 5'9" defenseman from last year's draft out of Finland by the name of Aaron Kiviharju.
Yeah.
See that
Yeah.
number 10, HIFK, Kiviharju? Now, a lot of lists had him top 10 at this time last year. This was Bob McKenzie's ranking in his early rankings, like his preseason rankings. He had him, Kiviharju, at 10. Now, you know, you've got to be extra special to be ranked that high. Now, I think what's happened, now we saw with Kiviharju, by draft day, he wasn't even a top 60 pick, you know? So the common theme in recent drafts, if a European defenseman consistently plays above his age group and puts up decent point totals, he gets ranked very highly in the summer. Now, on the surface, a 16, 17-year-old putting up 33 points in Swedish junior like Radovojevic did last year is impressive, right? As is playing a first-line role for Slovakia as a 16-year-old at the World Juniors or at the U18s last summer. But I had a look at his one of his preseason games with Örebro in and here, okay, we're rolling the clip. Good job. And just have a look here. Okay, he's trying to get fancy. Almost lost the puck. And I'm going, okay, the kid's good, nice skater, right? You got to be playing against playing at 16 in the World Juniors and, you know, putting up points like that at this level. But he, as you see on this play, gets stripped. I think he's used to, you know, being so skilled against players his own age that he can just dance around, but he kept losing the puck. And again, there he goes again, thinking that he can skate away from him, and he couldn't. So, I mean, I look at this, and on the surface, I'm thinking, you know, you've got to be a unicorn to be drafted anywhere near the top 10 at 5'9.5". Like the only one that really, you know, it's rare. Sometimes these defensemen that have been picked high in the draft, you know, teams hope that they would adapt to NHL size and speed, right? But I mean, folks bring up Quinn Hughes as the reason why you would gamble on a small defenseman because he's a reigning Norris Trophy winner. But Hughes is a unicorn, or you know, at the very least, a baby unicorn. His skating ability, vision, and IQ are exceptional. Yeah. So the fact remains that most of the small defensemen drafted high end up struggling to meet expectations. Like Julius Honka went 14th overall to Dallas. He scored 2 NHL goals, right? So what I did here, I had concerns with his defense in this game. And as we go on, there's some more clips that'll be coming up that show some of the gas that he's had in recent games. Just like being on the goals that he was on the ice for that were against. And he made mistakes in just about every one of them. So I'm going to show them and kind of focus on what I'm concerned about. Yeah. Because again, you're a 5'9.5" defenseman. To play at the NHL level, you are going to have to be good defensively. You just have to. You're going to have to be able to take your man out. And you'll notice on these clips where he's not overly physical, he can be beat along the boards. His gaps aren't great. Another thing with a player, with a defenseman that small, even when your gap control is good, you know, you can be tough to beat one-on-one, and that's fine if you're a good skater. Here he is losing the puck and then just getting dominated by big guys. You know, he couldn't check them. This is This is playing for Finland in U20 in the preseason here. And again, just not very good defense. And there's a guy standing there and he can't move him, right? So there's concerns there, definitely on the defensive end. I don't know that he's a dynamic enough skater to overcome these issues. Like one-on-one, you can defend with your stick and your mobility to a certain degree. But what I noticed in a lot of these clips too, especially any 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s, like when you're 5'9" and you don't have the reach and your stick can't get in the passing lane, it's pretty easy to get it over to the other guy, right? No matter how well you skate, you might skate. There's been a few examples in here where you just see that he can't get to the puck.
Yeah.
And there he got it, I don't know what he was doing on that play. I think maybe it was the end of the shift and he was a little tired, but I have not in the games that we see here, I'm not impressed by his defense. Now, he has not scored a goal since late January. So in his last 30 games, he hasn't scored a goal. Yes, he's playing against older guys. Yes, he's playing U20. He's playing U18. He's playing in the Swedish Junior League. But again, if you're going to be at 5'9.5", if you're going to be a top 10, top 15 pick, you better score the odd goal.
Exactly.
There he is again. This was in the U18s last spring. And this, like, what the heck?
No.
I know, like, you can always take highlights of a guy scoring goals and make him look good, and you can make highlights of him being on the ice for goals against and make him look bad. I mean, when you go look at his points and his assists and the nice plays he makes, yeah, you can understand that he'll likely be gets picked somewhere in the 50 to 80 range in the draft. Maybe he goes ahead of that because he has a great season, but this top 10, like, I don't see a first round guy. I just don't.
Yeah.
You have to project these guys as NHL players. And when I look at him and I'm trying to project how would that look against an NHL team, he would be just overwhelmed. Now he is only, like, maybe he improves by leaps and bounds this year because he's only entering his draft year. So I'm not writing him off by any means. Maybe he improves defensively as the year goes along and looks good defensively.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to score goals. He's going to have to play a lot better defensively. He's going to have to not lose the puck when he goes to rush out of his own zone and get stripped of it. He's going to have to even improve his skating. He's a nice skater, a good skater, but at that size, you have to be dynamic, just so dynamic. Even Gerard, who's a really, really good skater, he has issues in his own zone at times because he's just not quite Quinn Hughes level.
Yeah.
Like even Sandin Pellikka in his draft year, 5'11", so a couple inches taller, but he scored like 17, 18 goals, right? But even he didn't go top 15 because he's undersized. Well, this kid's 5'9.5". He's even smaller. So I don't see, I'm surprised, but then and I'm not surprised that he's that he's ranked so high because you've seen it. We saw it with Hanka. We saw it with Kiva Harju. We saw Eric Brandstrom get picked 15th overall in the draft. Like, some of these guys stay high, but then they don't. You discover that they're just not big enough. Ryan Murphy, 12th overall to Carolina back. He ended up playing 175 games. He was super dynamic offensively. You're not looking for somebody that's going to become a junior star. That's not how you have to draft projecting how they'll look in the NHL in 3 to 5 years. And based on what I've seen, I've scouted quite a few guys so far for the draft. I don't see a guy that at this point I would rank in the first round. And I think every independent list pretty much has them there right now. But I know the NHL guys, I know how they think, and they're not, I don't even have to ask them because they're, I'm not going to say, is this guy a first rounder? Because I know what the answer is going to be.
You're going to get hung up on.
Well, it's just, I think you saw it with Kiva Harju, the way he dropped. You keep seeing it in the playoffs every year. The last 8 teams, there's no 5'9" defenseman. Like even Quinn Hughes didn't make it to the final 8. There wasn't a defenseman under 5'11", I don't think, playing in the final 2-3 rounds of the playoffs. So you've got to they're a rare specimen, and unfortunately that's just the way it is. And the independent lists can rank these guys top 10, top 15 to start the year, and that's fine. But safe to say the preliminary list of sick podcast news, Grant's preliminary list is not going to have Luka Radivojevich in the top 15.
Yeah.
I like the kid.
Exactly, a good player, but I think this is just a cautionary tale, right? This sick highlight of the week. It's just to temper expectations a bit.
He'll probably be on the first pairing for Slovakia at the World Juniors. He'll probably not look. He'll put up some points. He's got nice puck skill, nice skater, smart, but just as far as his NHL projection goes, I think we got to put on the brakes a little bit here and be realistic that NHL teams, unless he really improves his defensive game between now and the draft, I don't think that there'll be many NHL teams considering him as a first-round pick.
Well, that's the reality of the business. But hey, we don't sugarcoat things around here. All right, we tell you the truth. And you know what else, Grant? You tell the truth on the Sick Podcast news. Okay, so head on over to the website Sick Podcast, and Grant has some great articles. He got this feature, okay, where he ranked all 32 teams in terms of their under 25 depth. Okay, so 1 through 32, and I'm guessing you know who number 1 is, but I'm going to let you find out for yourself because I want you all to read them. Great little pieces about each team, explaining with a depth chart. Okay, you actually made lines for each of them, so fantastic stuff, Grant. As always, do yourself a favor. Yeah,
spent half my August getting that list. I didn't realize when I started just how big of a project that I got myself into, because you got to get it right. Like, I'm sure I still, especially guys that really follow their own team and their prospects, will say, hey, that guy should be on the third line, you can argue, and hey, feel free to send me a note and on Twitter and stuff, and I'll be sure to ignore it and saying no, I'm kidding. But that you think that this guy was ranked improperly, or that team should have been higher, or this or that. Hey, we all have our opinions. None of us are right or wrong. It's all just opinion. And
exactly.
But it was fun, even though it took half my friggin' August up doing. But it's published now. I want people to go have a look. There were 4 separate articles with 8. I started with the 32nd and worked my way up to number 1. So if you're a Toronto fan, look at the first article. If you're a Habs fan, look at the last one.
Exactly. And you're going to be on with Matt O'Hayan on the SIG podcast with Tony Marinaro tonight, where you're going to be talking about, Ivan Demidov and the Habs U25 list that you made. That's going to be a blast. Go check it out on our sister channel. And for us, we're going to be back Sunday after the 2 prospect games to recap it all. And we're going to give you our Habs prospect of the week there. So don't forget, tune in, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, all the good stuff so you don't miss another episode. All right. He's Grant McCagg. I'm producer Shane. This has been another edition of the Sick Podcast Recruits Draftcast. We'll see you very soon. Take care.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Recruits Draftcast on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.